My name is Margaret, but that was not the name I was born with. I came to this country many years ago with a suitcase that squeaked when it rolled and a heart full of hope that somehow life here would be kinder than the life I left behind. My husband and I were young when we arrived. We didn't know the language well. We stumbled over sentences and laughed at our mistakes. We worked any job that would pay us: cleaning, sewing, lifting, fixing. Always tired, always grateful, always dreaming. And then our son Daniel was born, our greatest dream wrapped in a small blanket. We raised him to speak the language we could not master. We encouraged him to blend in, to succeed, to never feel the sting of being different. At home, we spoke softly in our first language, but in public, we tried, clumsily, to use English. My accent never softened. It clung to my words like a shadow. Daniel grew quickly, faster than our understanding of this new world. He spoke fluently. He made friends. He corrected our grammar. At first, it felt sweet, a child guiding his parents. But children grow, and patience shrinks. One day, when Daniel was a teenager, he came home upset. Kids at school had made fun of his immigrant parents. They mocked the way I spoke. They said my voice sounded broken. I hugged him. I told him words cannot break who we truly are. But something inside his eyes changed that day. A quiet shame, a distance I couldn't name. Over the years, he began to interrupt me when I spoke in public. "Mom, don't talk, I'll order. Mom, you're saying it wrong. Mom, people don't talk like that here." Each correction chipped away at my confidence, gently, silently, like water wears down stone. One evening at a family dinner with his colleagues, I mispronounced a word. I laughed at myself, but Daniel didn't laugh with me. He rolled his eyes and said loudly, "Sorry, my mom still sounds like she just got off the boat." Everyone laughed, except me. I smiled politely, but inside my chest something folded in on itself. I had crossed oceans for this child, and now my own voice embarrassed him. Not long after that dinner, my husband passed away. The world grew quiet. English felt heavier in my mouth without him to laugh with me at our mistakes. Daniel became my only family here. But the farther he rose in his career, the farther he drifted from where he came from. He told people he was basically local now. He stopped using our first language. He corrected me more sharply. And still, I loved him. Years passed. Then, one afternoon, there was a knock at my door. Not gentle, firm, official. 2 immigration officers stood outside. "Ma'am, we need to speak with your son. Is he here?" My heart trembled. Daniel arrived soon after, confused, then pale. They asked about paperwork, employment records, residency updates. Somewhere along the line, something had gone wrong. Forms had never been renewed. Deadlines had been missed. He had never taken full citizenship, and his status was now in question. Suddenly, the boy who mocked my accent needed my voice. I sat beside him in the office. I answered questions. I provided documents I had kept carefully for decades. I explained history, dates, stories, all in the same accent he once wished he could erase. And in that small room, I saw something break inside him. Not pride, but ignorance. For the first time, he heard how difficult English sounds spoken with fear in your throat. For the first time, he watched people judge not the content of my words, but the shape of my sounds. And he saw himself in me. Days later, the situation resolved. He was safe, his status was corrected, but the lesson remained. He came to my small kitchen one evening and sat across from me, the same table where he once did homework. His voice was soft. "Mom, I am ashamed." I smiled sadly. "Of me?" He shook his head. of myself, of how I treated you. He told me about the pressure to fit in, the silent fear of being other, the belief that sounding like everyone else meant being worth more, and how he turned that fear toward the one person who loved him unconditionally, me. I took his hand, the same hand I once guided across busy streets, and said, "Son, accents are not mistakes, they are maps. They show where we come from. They carry every road we have walked to get here." We cried, quiet tears, old tears, healing tears. Today, when we go out together, Daniel waits for me to order. He smiles when I speak. He defends accents when others mock them. He tells people proudly that his mother speaks 2 languages, and he is still working on mastering 1. So, if you are listening to this story right now, and you have an accent that people laugh at, or a voice they talk over, or a past someone wants you to hide, please hear me. Your accent is not broken. It is proof that you were brave enough to learn a new language, not weak for failing to sound perfect. And to the children of immigrants, do not forget the tongues that carried you before you could speak, because the deepest shame in life is not how we sound, it is how we treat those who loved us before the world ever learned our names. And that is my story.